Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today on another episode. Today I am here with the beautiful Ashlin, and she is in the top of her game. She's at the top of her game in the mortgage industry. And today we're going to unpack what it took for her to get from where she was to where she is today. Ashlin, can you introduce yourself? Let us know a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. My name's Ashlin Raquel Enter. I am a senior mortgage advisor here in Miami, Florida, but specifically I service all of Florida, so not just Miami. I guess so. Yeah, the journey to entrepreneurship, I would say it really just came from a lot of failure and learning to fail forward. I come from graduating high school, went the medicine track, went into nursing, then divulged into healthcare administration. I always wanted to change the world. I always wanted to help and serve people. And growing up, I always thought that it was going to be through medicine. Quickly realized that it wasn't exactly what I thought. I loved the process of helping people and serving people, but I didn't love the technical aspects of it, the politics. So I went into network marketing. I sold everything from hair care to supplements to weight loss things. And it was a journey in itself. I also learned how to sell vacation packages and big blue signs for travel. And it was definitely just like a fun road. Uh, I was broke, busted, and disgusted just a few years ago. As funny as it sounds, it's really not. It was a really hard time during my life. Really struggling to figure out what I was going to do. Pandemic was lurking, settling in. I was rebranding my photography business, specifically niching in birth photography, and it all kind of went downhill. I got into the mortgage industry right before that, and it all happened because my best friend couldn't get her real estate license, and she's like, "Hey, let's get a mortgage license," and I was like, let me call Bank of Mom to put it on her American Express because I couldn't even buy diapers at the time. So that's kind of where it came from. Yeah, it's the struggle.
Wow, wow. And I know we spoke before about your journey, but every time I speak to you, it's so interesting how much more and how deep it gets, right?
Hmm.
Can you go back and tell me what did it feel like calling your mom at that moment saying, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm gonna try." Was she happy to hear that this is what you're gonna go into? Tell me what that looked like.
Oh man, you'd be lucky if I even got to call mom. I was so at the bottom of the barrel. I was living with my parents. Um, Talk about feeling helpless. I just turned 30, but I was 24 going into 25, and I have a 3-year old. I am a failure in my parents' eyes. My dad literally was just like, "What are you going to do with your life?" He's like, "You lay in bed and you're depressed. You have all of this talent. You're super book smart. Go back to school, do something with your life." And I was a really good student, and it was a really hard moment because to hear my father say, "Oh, another certificate you're not going to use." And the truth is I didn't know if I was going to, right? I was just like, "Oh, let me see what else I can do, what else I can get from it." So literally looked at my mom in the kitchen and I'm like, I'm gonna get my mortgage license. Can I $600? Can you put it on your American Express? Thank you. And it felt horrible. It felt horrible at this point. My mom is paying the roof over my head. Pretty sure she was still paying my car at the time, like helping me be able to like even afford like my child. Um, we just didn't have ends meet at the time. I was with my daughter's father, and we just couldn't make it. And then I'm in like this huge mountain of suck. I didn't know how to get out of it. I knew I had talent. I knew I was good at things, but I couldn't find a place where I felt like I was doing something that mattered. So it was a really hard moment. And my mom has always been my number one supporter and cheerleader. Not that my father hasn't been, but my dad's more of a rough edge. And she's like, "I mija." I was like, "Look, mom, I don't know. I don't know. Let me see if something sticks." And it stuck. It stuck and it's changed our lives. And it's been such a blessing. I heard my dad tell me the other day that he was proud of me.
Oh wow.
Um, and like my dad's German American, and like they come from a very prestigious family, and like pilots and attorneys, and you know, dietitians and doctors and financial analysts, and like everybody has a position. And it's like, yeah, well, my daughter, she has a kid, she's living at home with me, and she does nothing. And it was a really big pivoting moment for me in my life to hear my father tell me that he was proud of me, and for my mom to tell me like, I always knew you were gonna make it. We were just looking for the right vehicle to get you there.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. And it seems like such a huge leap, right? From going to your mom, asking her for money to where you are now. And I know someone in that position now looking at it is saying, well, that can't be me because I don't have the whatever it takes. What advice would you give them to help them get from it's not me to yes, this can be me?
Man, I kind of like tear up. Um, I think you kind of got to hit almost rock bottom.
Well,
And I know that nobody likes to hear that, but I feel like you're gonna have to hit that moment in your life where you're like, there's got to be more, right? Like this isn't it for me. Like there has to be something else. And I can remember laying in bed in the middle of the night and like I would return our wick cartons, like the 4 lactate wick cartons that we would get. I would buy them with my wick card and hold the Publix receipt, and I would return them 2 or 3 days later to get the cash back to walk outside to my local Chase to be able to get money because on Thursday night we would overdraft and we couldn't afford to get the check on Friday and be overdrafted. So I feel like part of that is just knowing that you're going to have to go through those rough seasons because in those moments you're going to have to see what you're made of. And I feel like that's almost like the secret, and just knowing that if you take those moments of extreme fear, feeling hopeless and failure, and you use that to propel you forward and you have that childlike faith, that 1%, that 0.5%, that something is going to come out of this, anything that you set your mind to, you can do it. I work in the mortgage industry and I see immigrants who come here and they start a hot dog stand and all of a sudden they have multiple hot dog stores. And it's just an example, right? But if you have the grit to say, like, I'm getting punched in the face and life keeps hitting me, but that's all you've got, I'm going to get back up. You can do anything that you set your mind out to do. There's nothing that can stop you.
and I love that you touched on that. Explain what it means to have grit as an entrepreneur because that is where we need to be. What is that?
Oh my God, it's everything. I like to say grit and grace though, because although I kind of forget the grace a lot, right? You gotta have grit, man. I have really, really great friends that I met through the mortgage industry. And I've seen the support from my own friends and my family. It's kind of like what we say. It's like, man, like I described it as like a boxing match the other day. You get in the ring and you're like super excited. I'm gonna win this fight, and you get knocked out in round one, and they're about to count to like the three or whatever, and you just get back up and you're like still in the fight. Got some blood in your mouth. You got a black eye. You're gonna have to spit that blood out of your mouth and get back up and swing. You don't know if it's gonna work, but you gotta swing, and you're gonna swing into like the blank air. But if you hit something, you've got something to hook on. And that's what I feel like the grit is. You have to be able to say, I'm working at this for an extended amount of time and I may not see the results today, but I know that if I do it and I put my all into it, so for me, typically it's 60 to 90 days, right? If I work my butt off for the next 60 to 90 days, it's going to pay off. So you
Mhm.
have to have the grit and and really like the mental toughness too to say, like, all right, like I don't have it right now, but I'm going to continue working at it because I know that what I do today is going to compound into tomorrow. So you have to have that winner's attitude. And I'm not going to lie, that's hard. That's hard. Not every day is a winning day.
Mhm. Mhm. And do you think that entrepreneurship is for everyone?
No. Ooh, I can hear people blowing me up. No. Um, I was listening to a podcast the other day with Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, and they hit it so well. And I was like in the shower and I was like, oh my God, take a note on this. But I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone. I think there is entrepreneurship. There are really, really great people who almost like business development reps in my business who are really good at like giving ideas and implementing them, but they don't need to be the forefront. Specifically, like in my industry as a loan officer, we're not good behind the desk. Like, yes, there's only so much we can do, but we're good out in the street. Shaking hands and kissing babies is what I tell everyone. I know a lot of great loan officers who are better off processing and being
Wow.
assistants. Why? I'm going to be honest with you. Cut me wide open. I am horrible at details. I am the person that's going to go out and make 100 cold calls a day, shake 10 people's hands that I don't know. I make best friends at Best Buy, and I made a best friend at Apple yesterday. That literally, I told the guy, I was like, "If you ever consider mortgages, you're great at sales, but entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is willing to go out and make cold calls. Not everyone is willing to go out and shake hands with people. Not everyone's willing to go out and make friends with people. I tell everyone, like, where's your business? Oh, it's not where it's supposed to be. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Are you getting out? Are you talking? Like, no, I don't do that. I'm not going to cold call. I'm like, well, then you're not meant for this.
Right.
The journey of entrepreneurship is really for the people that can get up, get punched in the face, and keep going. And you almost have to have like a dark humor to have that too. Like, it's not easy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find that some of the best entrepreneurs I've ever come across are people that have sold Cutco and have done door knocking, because they're the ones that know, okay, what it feels like to get an instant no in your face and still get up and go to the next door and go to the next door. And those kids that I see, going through the different areas now, and they knock on your door and they're like, hey, I'm here to sell you a package. I'm like, they don't even realize that what they're doing now is setting them up for something great down the road. And
100%.
it's crazy.
It's kind of funny because I mean, I'm very outgoing and I'm very outspoken, and I have two girls. I have a oh my God, I have an 8-year-old. Still processing that. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. My 4-year-old will be 5 soon. But it's as simple as saying, like, hey, go ask where that toy is that you wanted that's not on the shelf. Go ask that worker there.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like you can plant seeds now in our younger generations to have that ability. Like my daughter will go to the bar at a local hotel, and we're like vacationing, and she'll charge into the room and she'll order herself her Shirley Temple, and she'll order something to our chair. And I get the feedback from people now, like, wow, your daughter's so outspoken. I'm like, yeah, you teach them. Like, listen,
Right.
I come from the school of hard knocks. Like, everybody was selling Herbalife, but I was
Yeah.
almost opening up a nutrition spot because I was really good at it, just because I was able to sell the product. But here's the reality, people don't buy always the product, they typically buy you first. And that's what I've learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and if they get to know you, they know that you have such a winning personality. Like, legit, you have such an awesome
Oh,
personality.
thank you. I mean, I always say, like, there's no difference between me and the person next door. Like literally, the person on the other side of this wall is a lender. I love them. I think they're amazing. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I mean, it's not a hidden thing. Like loan officers make great money. People in real estate make great money. But the people that really make longevity and not like that variable income of I don't know where I'm going to be able to pay my bills are the people that really care. We
Hmm.
work, and this is why I tell everyone I have a servant heart because I really do serve people. What we do is not just helping someone get a house, but that's like where they're going to bring their firstborn baby, or they're going to bring their parents to rest. It's where they set up their lives. So it really comes back down to that. Like you have to serve, and people need to know that you care.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And have you had like really great mentors on this journey, from that person that you were a couple of years ago, and brief years, to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I've had great mentors and I've had horrible mentors too.
Oh, speak about that.
Yeah, I feel like I think I think there's when we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about like being real and raw, and I don't think we do enough of that. Like,
Hmm.
listen, I don't always want to pick up the phone and cold call. I still pick up the phone after I've seen an agent that I want to network with, and I get nervous, and sometimes I hang up, and I'm like, we got to do it again. Um, but going back to the question, like, I've had really great mentors, and I've had really bad mentors. I had a mentor, probably in the last year and a half that really, really, really pissed me off. Um,
Wow.
I thought that this person was everything under the sun. They had everything that I wanted, emulated the business that I wanted to have, the time with the family. I come to find out that as I'm mentoring under this person, they they might have the family time, but they don't have the production. Um, so one of my things is, if you're going to be in a coaching position or you're going to be in a mentor position, I think that you should still be able to practice what you preach, because the best mentors are the people that are in the trenches with you.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to go tell me to make more calls and that interest rates don't matter, but you're not even closing loans? It's just one of those things where I feel like mentorship, you also have to be able to take a gear and say, like, this isn't working for me. Like, you are not truly the person at your core that you're selling to the masses. And let me tell you, that was a really, really big heartbreak for me, because I was all in. I was all in. It wasn't just a mentor, it was a whole coaching community. And I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, you are a fraud. And thank you. Because of you, I will be able to say that one day I am a great loan officer and I've built a great organization for myself and for others that work with me because of your shortcomings.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I've never
Wow.
said that out publicly.
No, but I'm glad you did, because here's the thing. Myself too, coming out of having a business, having it fail, finding mentors. I have done uh, a lot of courses.
Yeah,
Some of them worked, some didn't. Some I didn't feel were helpful, but I did it because I had to make me better at what I was trying to do, the next version of. And sometimes people give up. So they find something, they have a mentor, it doesn't work out, and they just give up. And they feel like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go do it on my own and not look for the next person. But that's not how it is. I mean, there is someone out there that can help you.
100%. I mean, I can even share with you an experience. I'm sitting at Ball Harbor with a dear friend and the production manager at her company. Well, the man, oh, I love being challenged. I mean, I think I'm just one of those women that loves going against the grain. You tell me to go left, I'm going hard right, hard right. Like, we are going hard right. And that's just my personality. Some people love it, some people hate it, and well, here we are, right? He literally looked at me and he's like, because of your thinking, you will never be a top producer. As I sit at number two in my company right now, I'm going for number one. Um, but I think sometimes you just need some people to really count you out, to be like, today I didn't want to do that, but I have some people to prove wrong, right? Like, and obviously the motivation behind it is just for you to go out and do the things that people count you out for. But I mean, I've had to use some of that negative feedback to push me forward. I mean, I remember when I first started out in the industry, I felt like an imposter. Forget it. Like, imposter syndrome is something that we deal with every single day, no matter what industry you're in. But you want to talk about really big imposter syndrome? Go into sales. Go into having your own business, and like
Mhm.
walking around like you're a millionaire every day while you're like literally on like layaway things on your credit card, right? Like, it's what happens. Um, and I remember, like, I would tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm a top producer in my head. Like, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And I'm like trying to figure out like where my next deal is coming from. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, you really got to find your people, find your niche, find the people that believe in you, because you're going to need it. But I remember when I first started, like, I was told that, you know, you're doing all this work and we don't see any checks come in. You're never spending time with your kids, but you're out working every weekend. And now people can't tell me that anymore, because I take care of my family financially by myself. I'm the sole provider for my girls. Um, Nobody helps me. So I think it's also a mix of like, you got to bet on yourself. And I talk about this a lot often on my social media platforms. And I think this is why I align with a lot of people. But we clap for all these famous people and we're reposting their stuff and we're going to their concerts. But like, we're not clapping for ourselves. We don't invest in ourselves as much as we should.
Ooh.
And our biggest asset is us. And I've been telling that to a lot of people who are like, hey, Ash, you have like this great come up success. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work. And I spent like $40,000 in coaching last year. And they're like,
Mhm.
what? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. And they don't understand that you have to bet on yourself
yeah,
every time.
every single time. Like, I mean, I could get into the nitty gritty of it, but someone that I loved very much in my life literally told me to go, you will never have a stable income. And that hurt, but that also motivated me to make sure that my kids are never left with the things that they need and for me to always continuously stay working. Because
Mhm.
the truth is, there are ways to not have a variable income in this industry. And once
And
you learn and you master that, you change a lot of lives.
yeah, and it's complacency too. once your business gets to a certain point, sometimes you can feel complacent and not work as hard as you were working before, and then
Yeah.
it catches up.
And so what I tell people all the time, I'm like, the next level of success is going to cost you some things. Um, and typically it's going to be a lot of time. It's going to be some relationships. I mean, I have people in my life that I love dearly, but we don't talk every day because they don't believe that what I do is worth it. But I mean, they love coming on vacation with me. So, whatever. But, I say it how it is. I say it how it is. But the people that were doubting me before, I mean, I hope you're watching and enjoying the show.
Ooh, so whatever happened to the Bal Harbour guy?
Oh, he literally told me I will never be a top producer. Has tried to hire me a few times. I truly
Ooh,
care for him. I love him. I think he's an awesome person. He knows exactly who he is. But I am going heavy and hard. I want to be in the Scotsman's Guide this year, so it's just like a nice big magazine of like the top producers, and to be like a first generation Hispanic Latina woman in there, like that's gonna be like, so it's my goal. I'm still on track for it. If I miss it by a little bit, I'm not gonna blow myself up. There's always next year. But I definitely know where my production needs to be so that I am considered one of the best. And that comes through trust, relationships, referral partners, and doing good by my people. Integrity, honesty. I tell people, I'm like, look, I have nothing to hide. It's really important. Look, the integrity and honesty is really, really important for us here.
that's awesome. That is awesome. And I love that you're sharing your journey. If you could have or leave a takeaway for someone, what would it be? Maybe the version of yourself before being here now. What would you say to that younger version of yourself?
Oh man, what would I say to the younger version of myself? From where I was before to where I am now?
From where you were asking for that loan in order to start and taking that first step, what advice would you give?
That's such a good question. I feel like it all comes back down to like the same theme. Like, first of all, give yourself grace.
Mm,
There is no workbook or life guide that's gonna tell you like this is how you become a successful entrepreneur. Because if there were, everybody would be a successful entrepreneur, right? Like nobody would go to
right.
school or whatever. So give yourself grace. Fail forward. It's not always going to work the first time. Heck, it might not even work the second and third time. You might have to go for round five. But if it's something you truly believe in, the only way it's ever going to work is if you truly believe in yourself and what you're doing. Um, it's kind of like when you go to the mall and you see something, you're like, man, that was my idea. Like, that should have been mine. But you didn't invent it because
Right.
somebody else believed in themselves more and
Mm,
you sat there questioning yourself. So I guess this is where it goes to. There are people out here less qualified than you
mm.
who are doing more than you and achieving your goals and dreams simply because they believed in themselves a little bit and they went for it. If you can bring down that barrier of the self doubt, all the probably negative self talk that you had with yourself or people gave you, and all the haters and the doubters and all the things that Gen Z say, right? But if you can take all of that and internalize it and say, I'm going to use this to propel me forward, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to do everything that I can in my power because I truly believe in myself. You can achieve anything that you put your mind to. I know it sounds so cliche and it sounds like a Disney World
No.
fairy tale, but I think so many people just need to know that there are people less qualified than them. And it doesn't make them bad people or less than what you are. But there are people that simply are doing more than you're doing because they believe in themselves and they're hitting the goals and the dreams and they're doing the things that you wish you were doing simply because they're doing the action, even if they're scared. So
Mm.
listen, get up in a room and shake hands, introduce yourself. I mean, you have to be willing to do the wildest things because the truth is, look at what almost every house has. Every house has a ring camera. But I'm pretty sure when that guy was setting up and making a ring camera at his house, his parents were telling him, like, oh, that's stupid. It's not going to work. And look at the
Mhm.
valuation on that. So take whatever it is that, like, childlike faith, like I said, and just run with it. And just tell everybody who gets in your way, say, I'll meet you at the top. I might fail, I'm going to fall. So love me when I land, but remind me where I'm going. And I think everybody just needs to remember, like, you're going to get there, even if it's on the 10th try, on the 30th try. Like, you have to believe in yourself and then outwork everybody.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
And the biggest one is there's no competition.
It's you.
It's you. It's what you did yesterday, the amount of hours you put in, the amount of dedication you put in. Did you actually stay true to the things that you had to do? So
Mm-hmm.
bet on yourself. Do the things that scare you. Even if they scare you, man, just do them and just outwork everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciated it. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate the conversation, because I believe that in order to make successful entrepreneurs, it takes successful entrepreneurs coming, speaking, sharing what they have in order to propel the next generation and the next generation of entrepreneurs.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I think everyone just needs to know that you're not alone. You might feel alone, and the journey to the top is lonely, but it's really nice when you get up here.
Oh, absolutely. But thanks again. It
Thank
was
you.
a pleasure having you on.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.